All right. Well, welcome everyone. Welcome to our session on cross-regional calendar planning. We are really excited to jump into calendars. And as we go into 2025, think about how we strategically work with our higher ed community and how we plan our webinars related to various themes that are dedicated to certain months of the year as it ties to State Department initiatives. So, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about why we should have a shared calendar. We're going to explain the concept. I think for some of the Middle Eastern and North Africa advisors, this will be pretty familiar to you because some of you have been doing this for a while. And those of you who maybe are at American Councils, we've been doing this as well with our new roles and with Dolly and the new team. So some of you are kind of already doing this, but we're going to put a little bit more structure for both regions combined together. We'll talk a little bit about resources from American Spaces, as well as the social media digest and Canva. And then we'll jump into introducing the 10 different themes throughout the year, and we'll go over those month by month. And then we'll talk about the sign up sheet, how you can be engaged, how you can work together, collaborate with one another, and look at putting together a webinar and a presentation on a certain theme, not just for your country and just for your region, but for the broader region of NEA and SCA. And lastly, we'll talk about wars and just a reminder about putting together weekly activity reports. And then we'll do a small exercise. So that's the agenda in going forward.
Right. So why do we want to do this? Well, the whole point is to work smarter, not harder. And oftentimes the themes that are happening during the different months, really there's a select few topics that we would typically highlight. So rather than have 10, 15 different offices offering sessions on the exact same topic in a particular month, and maybe reaching out to some of the same reps or some of the same other specialists, I would say, in terms of some of the international organizations, and also to leverage the attendance, it's helpful to coordinate and have different topics selected and then cross-promoted and cross-shared with different centers and across both regions. So we want to make sure that we're also not just working smarter, but that we're also promoting collaboration between advisors, between different centers, so that also you get an opportunity to lead and learn from one another. We have a variety of themes that are key for us all as a network, and also as an ECA broader branch to highlight. And so some of those things are aspects we want to make sure are incorporated in the schedule. And then we want to make sure that there's different levels of tenure, right? So we want to make sure that there are newer advisors working with those who have been here for a little bit longer, maybe have new and fresh ideas or tried and tested ideas, and so that there's a diversity of experience, diversity of ideas, diversity of approaches that we can offer, and not necessarily do the same thing over and over or have the same faces over and over. I think your audience also appreciates sometimes when there's different people that they're hearing from. It might pique their interest. So the different themes that are going to be covered are those typical awareness months or recognition months, but they also allow an opportunity to really dive into how that might connect to education, how that might connect to the experience, how that connects to the American culture, different regional cultures, the differentiation that exists within the US. And so we will go over what some of those months are and start brainstorming some ideas of what that can look like. But this is kind of the broader overview of what this entails.
Great. So as you are familiar with American Spaces, they are a great resource. They put out a monthly calendar that has a lot of different information on visuals that you can use, as well as social media posts. Many of you probably already get the American Spaces calendar that comes out. If you don't, we can definitely help you figure out how you can get that. But it just really is a great resource in talking about the themed months. For example, you'll see here Black History Month. And so you'll just see that kind of what that monthly calendar looks like and a snapshot of some of the great tools that they have on this free resource. So the most important thing with this is just remember, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's a lot of images, there's a lot of content that is out there that you can reuse or restructure or rewrite so that it makes sense to use for the different events that you might be doing throughout the month, especially if you're leading one of these meetings or months with another colleague. So just know that that is a resource and they are quite good. And so take a look there before you decide to jump into Canva and develop your own.
Yeah, and there's lots of templates. And now that we have our regional shared advisor access to the Canva professional accounts, take a look at what other folks have created in terms of templates. The color palette for Education USA is already included in there. So in terms of changing maybe the look and feel to something that aligns more to what your center wants to use while still being compliant with the brand, it's pretty easy to swap out the colors within the approved color palette for Education USA. And then, of course, we have our social media digest, which, as you know, every week comes out with all of the resources and posts. Now, for those of you that have been with the network for a while, if you're still accessing, and I think there is also a link to see previous Education USA social media digests, you can go back to old content as well. If it's something maybe you haven't used or something that was from kind of way back, or you want to anticipate maybe some of these months and get ready in advance of actually getting the digest, you can post the content according to what works locally. Now, there are some themed days. So motivation day, or usually there's a scholarship day. And so those things make sense to keep on that particular day of the week, but you can always add additional content. And so take a look at what's been done before, look at some of the text and the language, and work with that. But again, you do not have to start from scratch. If you're unsure about your design, maybe you got a little creative and you're not sure if this is something that will fly, you can message your Riak and or Niru, or yeah, we can help at least get the attention of William more quickly to take a quick look. We do have our IIE social media person. He does pop into different pages, different social media accounts to look at what's being posted. And so if things are not compliant, he'll usually reach out to us and then help the advisor kind of rectify whatever the concern is. So if you're ever not sure, just reach out to us.
And there's a number of people in the chat that would like to be added to that American Spaces monthly newsletter that comes out with the monthly themes. So we'll go ahead and find out how you can be added, and we'll share that in our Canvas classroom. So that will be the place that you can go to. I'm sure there's other people who aren't joining us right now who also need access to that. So that will be the place where we'll post that. All right, so let's jump into the calendar. So we're going to actually start off not in Black History Month is that a typo, Melissa, or is it in January?
Oh, no, it's February.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Oh, this isn't the updated one. That's why I changed.
Okay. All right.
That's
Do you want me to switch over to the other one? Do that.
Yes.
Yeah, let me do that. Let me switch over.
Okay.
Hold on just
Yeah.
a second. Give us just 1 second here. Just take a second. Awesome. All right, there we go. Right presentation. All right, so we're going to kick it off. We're going to give January a little breathing room, and then we're going to go into February. We'll focus on Black History Month and, reflecting, as it says here, on the legacy and contributions of achievements of Black individuals while fostering awareness on their impact on history and society. This is a wonderful opportunity to work with some of our historically Black colleges and universities. It's great and to engage maybe with your public affairs officers or other people at embassies who might be alumni of those institutions. So this is really, a great way to kick off our first session. In March, it's Women's History Month. So this is celebrating the achievements of women. Once again, you can focus on women's studies. You can focus on a specific group of women in your home country. You can also look at women's colleges and universities. I know last week I just met with Sweet Briar president who came to the region. There's so many great opportunities for women. So think about how you might want to capture Women's History Month in March. And then in April, we have 2 different topics. We have Earth Day and everything related to environmental themes. So you can look at different possibly majors related to the environment, related to climate change. We know how important this topic is, that it's on the forefront. There are so many different new majors and jobs that are being created around the environment. So take a look at how you might engage with a specific university, whether it's a degree they're offering. And this could be at many different levels. It could be an undergraduate, graduate, it could be a summer certificate program. So you can get a little creative there as well. And then given that we have the Middle East, Arab American Heritage Month, you might want to do something maybe in Arabic. We have a number of Arab speakers. Many of you know that we have a database of Arab speakers that's on the React page for Melissa and I for our kind of resource that we give to U.S. universities. So if you want to work with a U.S. university and do something in Arabic, that's a possibility. Or maybe you might want to focus on Arabic language studies, or possibly an area of the United States like Michigan, Dearborn, where we have a lot of people that are a part of the Arab community, thinking about how we support students from the Arab nationalities. So that is April. And then in May, it's Asian and Pacific Islander History Month. So it's honoring the cultures and the heritage of those coming from that part of the world. Oops, sorry, I just skipped ahead. And then lastly, in June, we have LGBTQIA and awareness. So those are all really great topics to think about. Another great place that you can go if you need ideas to explore is that we have a number of countries that have done presentations on these specific topics. I know, for example, just Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan, they have a great YouTube channel page where every webinar that they've done has been listed on those YouTube channels. So if you want to get an idea of what's been done, take a look at what's been done. You might get some great ideas there, or you might see that something else needs to be highlighted and related to this specific topic. So that's just to kind of give you a flavor of where to go and who to reach out to and what the outline can look like and who you would like to have present when it comes to those topics. Okay. Hold on just a second here. Let me get to the next slide. I'm so sorry. My toolbar is covering the page. There we go.
So continuing with some of the different themes, I think many of you know, July and or a little bit earlier, depending on what kind of visa considerations you all are thinking, is a good time for pre-departure orientation. Again, we've had advisors work together in some instances on particular topics. And so there's been a series of sessions that cover maybe just some of the logistics over to kind of how to pack, what to pack, things to consider at the airport, and then also adjustments. So there's different things you can think about for virtual components of a pre-departure. For Latino, Latina, Latinx History Month, it's an interesting one because it straddles 2 months, so September 15th through October 15th. But again, there are ways to tie this into either looking at prominent figures, contributions to entrepreneurship, language studies, actually looking at different countries. So the histories of particular Latin countries. So there's different aspects that you can look at to tie that in. I'm going to jump over, well, there's professional development, visa opportunities, again, something you can look at for October. But I want to mention for Disability Awareness Month, by the time of next October, one of the other projects that are ongoing for the MENA region right now, but that will cross over into South and Central Asia, is we have point person projects, not the best name, but it's what we have for right now. But right now we have 3 specialty areas that are being worked on. One of them is advising students with disabilities. So our advisor from Tunisia is taking the point person for this particular theme, and we will be connecting her with an advisor in South and or Central Asia to further flesh out resources. So by the time this month comes, hopefully this team will have lots of resources and information for you all to work with, but then again, also coordinating some of that. The other topics that are being worked on right now are medical studies, as well as working with cohort programs. So we'll share more, but just wanted to highlight for the working with students with disabilities, more resources and information is coming. Obviously, International Education Week, it hasn't been too far since we've just gotten through another week. Lots of programming that happens during that week. We saw all the highlights, photos, videos, wonderful things that you all have been doing. And so again, there was a great collaboration across MENA, and I think we can expand that even further in doing different formats or different models for next year. And then PhD student advising, again, graduate study advising is one of the resource areas that we're typically looking at. We've had some interns work on updating our materials. We will probably have a point person working on some of those documents. And so again, maybe by December, we'll have a little bit more and have the point people being able to take the lead on some of that. But if anyone's interested, please volunteer yourselves and we can go from there.
I'll just also add, there's a lot of great resources on the Education USA Advisor Hub, specifically for students with disabilities, pre-departure orientations as well. So don't forget that great resource that's there too. So the big question is now that we know the different topics and what our goals and objectives are, where do we go from here? Well, the first thing to do is collaborate with advisors from across the region. So what we would like you to do is think about the topics that we just mentioned and one that or two that resonates with you. If you were going to lead one of these presentations and organize the HEI and work with another advisor, which one kind of comes to mind for you? I'll note, I think it's a given, but just to reiterate, these presentations are for students. So once the presentations would be organized, then they would be given to prospective students interested in those specific topics, and it would be covered across the region. So think about who you'd like to collaborate with and also what topic resonates with you. I'm just going to post right now in the chat. Oops, sorry. One
Mhm.
second. Okay, just posted in the chat an Excel spreadsheet. We'll take a look at that in a little bit more detail, but we have a sign up form. And so you'll see all of the themes and the months, and then a slot for you to type in your name, to sign up, to take the lead. Ideally, we'd like to have at least 2 advisors for each topic. There isn't an optional third if somebody else would also like to join. It would be wonderful to see advisors working outside of their region together. So maybe seeing advisor from Morocco working with an advisor in Kazakhstan, or possibly an advisor in India working with an advisor in, let's say, Jordan. So really think, a little bit about outside your country as well as outside your region. It gives you one wonderful opportunity to get to know another Education USA advisor, or possibly you've met at a conference before or at a forum, and you'd like to work with someone who you've met and just didn't have an opportunity to do so. This is that opportunity to engage. You will have to pick a date during that month to host the webinar. So ideally, we would like to have it the first week of the month. You can pick what day works best for you, but do take into consideration the timing. And so if we're stretching all the way from Morocco to, let's say, Bangladesh, what is a good time where you think you could get an audience of students to come to an online event? So that will be something that you'll want to discuss with your team. You'll need to plan your outline. What is it that you're focusing on? Are you focusing on a specific major, specific types of institutions? How many guest speakers would you like to have? What is the format? What tools will you be using from Education USA? So planning your outline and making sure also that you're leaving time for Q&A. And then once you have that, you'll contact your guest speakers. So you might have to reach out to your REACs or maybe your other colleagues in trying to find the right person that can be an expert on that specific topic. So you can reach out to really any of us, but we can help you be a connector so that you can engage. And I think it's good to, we do know that there's a lot of higher ed representatives that come to Education USA and they present often. But I also encourage you to maybe think about an institution or maybe a person that has not presented with Education USA. This is a great opportunity to diversify the pool of presenters that work with us. And then once you've worked in your team and you've planned your webinar, you'll want to send a calendar invite to Naru as well as to the rest of our community, so we can help you spread when that presentation will be given and that webinar will be given. But it's really important to keep Naru in the loop because she is our REAC assistant and she's amazing and helps keep us all on task. So we want to make sure that the calendar invites are out, that everybody knows about what you've put together so that they then can turn around and invite their students. We will need a social media post. Once again, you do not have to reinvent the wheel. Take a look at, Canva, take a look at some of the templates that are already there, and get ready to write something up so that we can share widely about your webinar. And contact us, contact your REAC, contact us if you have any questions, or you might be struggling, or you might just want us to take a look at what you've put together to make sure that you're on track, or just to maybe go over it to make sure that you're not missing something, or just to practice or review. And then from there, you'll go ahead and you will roll out your plan. So that is just a basic outline of what needs to take place once you have chosen your topic and where you want to go from there.
Yes, and just taking a look at the questions in the chat. Yeah, so you want to choose your collaborations wisely as well, because you want to factor in time zones. But yes, whomever you are working with, in particular, would be the key audiences that you would be promoting to. But the idea is that anybody in both regions, whether they helped co-lead or co-organize the session, would be able to help also promote it. Basically, is so that centers have another kind of ready-made session that they can promote. So that's one less that you individually would have to work on. So that's for that. And I see Karen already answered Rasha's question. One other thing, I did add a link. So American Spaces does have their newsletters online. So you are able to go to this website from the American Spaces page and access their current and previous newsletters. And so you do have access to that information there. Any questions?
Do you want to talk about this great resource that you put together?
Oh, yes. So we had questions. We've had a question. There's lots of new HEI reps that have joined different institutions. And so this is a cyclical thing, kind of retraining HEIs who either are new to working with Education USA or just new to the field in how to work with us, how to present. And so you all should have access to a template for you to customize for your specific center. And that'll be a resource that as you go to conferences or you engage over email or webinars with reps, you can share with them the resource on how to present. And so ideally, the pieces you're going to customize separate, obviously, your contact information, but the best hours that would work for your students. Also, if you have a center where they can physically present at, or if they will also or exclusively be presenting at external host organizations, whether that's at a school or a university, or in some cases, some of our centers are at host institutions, and so maybe it'll be presented there or at American Spaces. But again, go through the template so that it can be customized for your specific context. And then that way reps know exactly kind of what they should be thinking about. A lot of the general information is there in terms of they have to pick a topic that's of broad interest to students, and that they will have an opportunity to have maybe one, maximum two slides about their institution just to provide that context for their background in terms of, is it a public, is it a private, is it small, large, so that students know kind of what they're presenting from, but that it's not a advertisement. It's not a institutional presentation as they might do if they're working with private organizations or agents, or even with commercial services sometimes. The presentations they do with those entities are basically come learn about institution X. When they work with us, it should be thematic, not highlighting specifically the institution.
There was a great question in the chat about who is invited and who is the audience. So I think clarifying that a little bit more. So, and I gave an example. So, for example, like with Black History Month, if Jordan and India come together and they decide that they are going to take the lead on that month and that presentation, they will plan and organize, they will put together the social media post, they will contact the guest speakers, and they will be the ones in charge of hosting that webinar. But the audience is for all students across the MENA region, Central Asia, and South Asia. So once they put that webinar together, they will share the social media post and the links with everyone. And so regardless of what country you are coming in from, those students can join that webinar related to that topic. So there will be students from all over our region at that one specific webinar. Hopefully that helps. I know it's a lot. All right. So this comes to the call to action where we would love to encourage you to take a look at this sign up form. We have the link in the chat. Once again, we'll upload this to the Canva classroom. And this is where
your screen isn't showing.
It's not showing?
No.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's weird. Because I'm seeing my screen.
Yeah, oh, you can see it. Okay.
Okay. Can you see it now? Melissa?
I don't, but they see it, so that's okay. I don't know what's going on with my screen.
Okay. Can everybody see my screen?
To see it. That's fine.
Okay. Yeah. All right. All right. So this is what the sign up sheet looks like. And as you can see, we have the months, we have the topics, and then we have the planning team. So you'll be able to sign up for a topic. You can collaborate with an advisor, like we said, from your country, from a different country. If you need introductions, if you want to reach out, we can help you make that connection. Or you might just kind of want to randomly put your name down for one and see who signs up as well and come together as a team just kind of organically. I think the wonderful thing about Education USA that probably many of us will agree is the sense of camaraderie and the just collegial feel of we are all here to help students, right? And so everybody is so giving in this field. And one of the best parts is working together and meeting a new Education USA advisor, learning about the work that they do, and getting to know them. So in addition to presenting and to meeting with an HEI, this is an opportunity for you to get to know somebody else outside maybe of your country. It is okay to collaborate together too. We don't necessarily want to say you can't collaborate. So if you have a good idea, feel free. If there's two of you who feel like you're an expert on environmental themes, jump in there and take advantage of your expertise or of the opportunity to learn about a new field. So we're going to ask you and the others who are not in this session, who decided to join the other session, or maybe those who aren't here today, who are watching the recording, to jump in and sign up for one of the webinars. Like I said, one person will need to take the lead. We want at least two advisors, and a third advisor is optional. I would say if there are advisors who are fairly new and just kind of want this as a learning experience, you might want to be the third advisor. You might want to be the optional advisor where you will use this more as the opportunity to learn, and maybe some experienced advisors will have the opportunity to mentor. So that's an option if you just feel like you're not ready for it 100%, but you still want to be a part of it. But if you're new and you want to take the reins, by all means, go for it. Don't let us hold you back at all.
And some of the, sharing responsibility pieces do extend to who creates the Zoom link, who's going to kind of make sure all the communications are going out in a particular timing, but also the day of. So don't forget that everything isn't just in advance. There is a moderator, but it's always helpful to have someone doing a little bit of the behind the scenes. So making sure that people are muted when they come in, monitoring the chat and maybe answering some of the questions, or if certain things come up during the presentation, looking up some of those links to be able to share. So there are different roles you can play before, during, and after. Maybe you want to send some follow-ups and some survey. Think about those things that you want to include depending on the particular topic. And one of those things includes the wars. So our region on the MENA side, I think we have kind of highs and lows. I haven't seen really what the SCA side looks like, but we'll have a period when there's nothing. Then we'll have a period when there's tons of wars that are coming in. But these really are important to highlight the work that you're doing in the region. And we know how much work it is to kind of try to pull these together quickly after a particular event. So as part of the planning process, please start drafting your wars and thinking about, okay, what is it that we're going to feature? What is the highlight angle that we're going to take with this particular event? And then you can populate, how many attendees or registrants, those types of things at the end. That way, that's the quick add that you can do once the event is over. But a lot of the heavy lift would have been done in advance. So again, as you're collaborating, maybe somebody takes the lead on working on the draft, and then everybody can contribute. There is a word count limit on what actually gets submitted in the final war kind of highlight, but Rosie is quite happy to pare it down. And so if you have a little bit more information that she can work with, that's perfectly fine. I know some of you at Posts might be familiar with kind of the limited word count or character count. And so don't stick yourself like really stressed out trying to pare it down if you don't have time. As much as you want to put, and then we can get that down into the correct format.
I'll just say too that this whole project is to make your life easier. It's not to create more work for you, but it's for the opportunity for you to say, I know that 10 months out of the year, there is a specific webinar that's going to be planned related to the themes of the month that will be applicable for my students. And so while it might be a little work for a month to put together this webinar and plan, the idea is that you get to capitalize on everybody working together as a team so that you have access to those 10 different webinars. So hopefully it doesn't seem too daunting. And many of you do this already on a day-to-day basis. And like we said in the beginning, a lot of our MENA advisors and some of our central advisors are doing this already. So it really is to work collaboratively and to work smart, because we know how much how valuable your time is and how limited time is. And so this is kind of, for some of you, once you do one, you'll be able to have that plug and play throughout the rest of the year. All right, so we're going to move on to a little activity, and we're going to keep this super simple. Let's start with the first question. So the first question, maybe as you answer the question, put number 1. Think back and what are 1 or 2 topics that you are interested in? And I'm going to go back to the screen so that you can at least see this is January to June. Can even put this in the chat. And this is July to December. So looking at those topics, if you could respond and put a number 1 and then put 1 or 2 of those topics that jump out at you where you're like, I think I'd like to possibly know more about that or learn about maybe possibly leading that. Don't be shy. And I can just kind of toggle between the two. So I'll give an example. So I'm just going to type. So for me, I'm interested in, we got somebody. Okay, Hisham, Rasha is jumping in. Okay, there's a great example. So great. Rasha from Egypt is saying pre-departure. orientations and Earth Day. Sham and Jordan just mentioned Arab American Heritage Month and PhD advising. We know, Hisham, you're phenomenal at the graduate studies. That's great. I could definitely see you jump in on that. Maha mentioned PDOs and professional opportunities and visas. How great you can possibly get a visa officer to join you. That could be a really great session. Omar in Pakistan, PhD advising. Let's see that one as well. Corinne in Kuwait mentioned PDOs and visas. Tajikistan, PhD advising. I love all the PhD advising. Our advisor, Ferha in Yemen, PhD advising, University of Albania, SUNY. Oh, great. I love it. Ferha, you've got all 3 questions answered. Phenomenal. Bahar, Earth Day and environmental things. We got to get something on the environment. Wonderful, from Turkmenistan. That's great. Amna, graduate advising. Amira, PhD advising. Wow, the PhD is popular. Do we really have to wait till December to do that one? That's great.
We have some people that can look at our resources again.
I know. That's really good. Feel free, those of you who haven't had a chance to answer the question, but we'll just move on to the second one, the second question or a little activity. Can you think, no, this is a little bit harder. So can you think of a person who you would think about collaborating with? So an HEI rep that you've met, a name of a university, someone that comes to mind where you're like, I think I might be able to reach out to them on a topic. And it could be the topic that you mentioned, or it could be another topic. So who's someone that comes to mind? Oh, I'm sorry. I made a mistake. I meant to say the second question is actually a person in our group. So an advisor. The directions are not that clear. So number 2 is an advisor that you would like to work with. Apologies. Number 3 is an HEI, a college or a university. Feel free to answer both of them. Oh, Sarah in Oman, Corinne in Kuwait, Jonathan in Bangladesh. That's right, Omer. I think you and Corinne were at the NAGAP conference together. I could see that PhD session come together nicely. Awesome. Kyrgyzstan. Oh, Medina's Central Asia. Reach out to Central Asia. They're stellar. Pakistan and the UAE, perhaps. That could be nice. Saudi Arabia. Wonderful. And once again, if you need us to connect you, whether it's myself or Melissa, Naru is phenomenal. She has lists to all of our Education USA advisors. Maybe one of the things that we could do is we could share everyone's bio. We do have Meet the Team for all of our countries. So we'll send that out so you can look at who might be a good person to collaborate with. But I love this interconnectedness, and some of you who are pulling together because you've met in person before, and some of you who are wanting to get to know one another. Okay, and we'll move on to question number 3, which is, can you think of an HEI, the name of a college or university, or possibly a person not a part of Education USA that could be a guest speaker or a university to highlight? Temple University, Martin Miller. He is a star. He is always there and speaks Arabic as well. Great one, Sana. Corinne, the University of Miami. Yes. Engineering graduate programs. Jan. Rice University, Jennifer Hunter. SCAD. Oh, yeah, they've been in the region a lot. Savannah College of Art and Design. Good one. UCLA Extension. Yes, phenomenal. Maya at Case Western Reserve University in Ohio. It's great because so many of you have universities that come to visit you in your countries. Some of you have had the opportunity to go to various conferences, both regionally in the United States. And then for those of you who are new, you might just be meeting universities online, but it really is an opportunity to engage with the higher ed community, and they're wanting to engage with you too. So it is a win-win situation. Gina from Rowan University. It was also mentioned Minnesota State has many interested in Egyptian professors. Oh, that's great to know. That would be good for the Arab Heritage Month. Wisconsin, Madison. Yes, great land grant institution. They're very engaging as well. They used to have an Education USA Academy. These are wonderful. These are just wonderful, everyone. So we hope you've given some food for thought with this activity and kind of where we need to go forward. I would encourage you to try to sign up sooner than later. We really would like to have everybody sign up so that we can put together a schedule so that we know the days, the times of when these presentations will roll out so that we can get high attendance. So with that, I'm just going to go ahead and open it up. Does anybody have any questions, something that they would like to share with the group about the activity specifically? All right. Well, I'm guessing maybe we did a good job of explaining the project to you all. Um, just know once again that this is recorded. We will share all of the links on our Canvas classroom. We hope that you are inspired to lead a session. This is really good professional development. For those of you who don't have much experience in organizing a webinar, once again, it's great to meet other advisors, to do cross-regional collaboration, and a little bit of professional development, as well as being there as a mentor for a newer advisor who would like to learn from you and your expertise. So there's a few different questions in the chat. Yeah, there was the mention about the first time hearing about the war, the weekly activity report. Maha, I am sure that we can share more information about that. Both Melissa and I have content, and I'm sure she could reach out to you and explain what a war is, as well as give you a few examples. But it basically is just a write-up about an event that happened that is unique to your country, and you would list the people who were involved, the place, what happened, how many people attended, what the event was, and why the event was important. And then we share those weekly activity reports with our program officer, who is Rosie Edmond. And those are then selected and they are sent throughout the State Department, and they are highlighted in Washington, D.C. at the highest levels. So it's an opportunity for us to show the Education USA Network success to our State Department colleagues in DC, and for you to get credit for the wonderful work that you're doing. So that's a little bit about the war, but we can share more definitely about that.
And I also just want to note there's examples on our MENA team Facebook group. You'll see whenever the wars do get selected, because we will submit, what we receive and highlights. And not all of them necessarily get picked for the region because there might be a lot. So the ones that were selected and sent up to the different level higher ups in ECA, we do feature those on our Facebook group. But we are also hoping to craft a document where we just track all of the ones that do get submitted, even if they don't get selected for the final kind of war highlights. So just want to highlight that. But yes, Maha, I can get back to you on more details.
Sana brought up a really good point in the West Bank. She asked is there, in addition to the monthly themes, is it possible to collaborate on specific topics such as medical study, engineering, and art history? I don't see why not. In fact, if we want to create a separate tab and you're doing a presentation and you would like it to open up to the wider audience, more power to you. So we can definitely set up a separate tab if that's something that you're interested in. That might definitely help with emails. If we know that there's a central place that you could go to see what's happening, then, we could share this widely. And Farha just mentioned that she is hosting a session tomorrow on graduate studies, and she's working with the University of Albany, SUNY, sorry. And so you've already got one right there. So Farha, well done on being ahead and inviting people to your session tomorrow. So maybe we could post that in the WhatsApp groups as well. Any more questions before we close? So you should have access to that Excel sheet. You do not have to ask myself or Lewis or Melissa to be added. You literally just go in and write your name and go, okay, I'm in, and let's see where this goes. So once again, if you have any additional questions, reach out to us. We're excited about this. Once again, we really want to make sure that you're not spinning your wheels and that we're using time wisely and that we're collaborating cross-regionally. So thank you so much for coming. Melissa, do you have anything else before we close?
No, that's it. This is great. And we'll look forward to seeing all those great updates on there.